Welcome back, Truth Seeker. Sunday, April 25th, 2021. Later today, the 93rd Academy Awards. Want to talk about some of the latest headlines from the reported killing of Andrew Brown in Elizabeth City on Queen Elizabeth's birthday to the latest police killing of Isaiah Brown. And just think about how much these stories have picked up since the time of Michael Brown, bring all this together. But we got Andrew Brown and Isaiah Brown, two black men. And when I was a child, I used to always say, why are they called black people? Shouldn't they be called brown people? To me, they look a lot more brown than black. But anyway, we got two Browns, two black males, reportedly killed by police, and very suspicious details in both. We'll talk about that. Again, the update in the Chicago killing of the 7-year-old girl is that it's an 18-year-old. An 18-year-old killed a 7-year-old, like 187. What do I always bring up with McDonald's and mass shootings? And shootings in general, since this one happened at McDonald's. Again, the San Ysidro Massacre, 18/7, July 18th, 1984, 187 days after Ray Kroc died. So now... And again, McDonald's was headquartered in Oak Brook, Illinois forever, which equals 187. Number associated with homicide. Watching the DMX memorial yesterday, I had it going in the background while I was doing my work. I saw Nas was the first guest speaker. And I don't know if I'd caught this before, but the date of the supposed overdose, April 2nd, that was Nas's 201st day of his age. Number that's all over the world of Jesuit rituals, suspicious hip-hop deaths. Talking about it from DaBaby to Eazy-E, and now DMX and Nas, who starred together in Belly. And Belly has the Catholic Jesuit theme to it. Again, the Society of Jesus. Nas, one of many rappers who's been made to pose like Jesus in a music video. So anyway, we'll talk more about that. And I also caught that they said that he sold over 74 million records. It seems like everyone's going with that stat. 74, really? How many times have we talked about rappers in 74 and Jesus rituals? And again, DMX, the weekend of Easter Sunday. We'll go over all of it. Also, I said I won't be surprised if there's more news in terms of celebrity-related death to the Academy Awards. It's like clockwork. In the news today, in Paris, a fashion designer who designs the dresses for the actresses at the Academy Awards is dead unexpectedly. They say he died last night. So he dies right before the day of the Oscars, and he makes the dresses for the actresses, and it's unexpected, and it's tragic, and they're saying it's COVID. Okay. And then we'll talk about Fernando Tatis. He's doing some big rituals. Hope you guys won on the Dodgers last night. Again, one of my age-old teachings. I said if somebody can hit a 73 or a 7-3 ritual in a Dodgers game, you better take it. Last night, the Padres fell to 7-3 away at the Dodgers. Remember all the 73s we documented with the Dodgers? We're always teaching about how Los Angeles Dodgers 73. The Dodgers number 73. And that's the beauty of that knowledge, Padres were up with a decent lead early on. Get that real-time bet. Dodgers gonna drop the Padres to 7-3, sure enough. Again, so many things we top for free, redundantly on Patreon. There's just certain patterns that are very reliable in the world of rigged outcomes, which goes from sports to news. But look at this. To go through all these stories, Andrew Brown reportedly killed in Elizabeth City on Queen Elizabeth's birthday of the royal family. And I just want you to notice the gematria of Andrew Brown and royal family. 137, 56, 160, 61 in all ciphers. The exact match in all 4 base ciphers. Again, you got to ask, what are the odds of that? What are the odds? Elizabeth City, Queen Elizabeth's birthday. And then just the 56 in the most pure cipher. That's the same number we keep coming back to overwhelmingly with the majority of these stories of police killing black people, from Breonna Taylor to a million more up to the present. Look at the other Brown in the news right now, Isaiah Brown. Look at his name in the most pure cipher, 56. He's got the 119 and 178 in his name, just like George Floyd. And they're saying this killing happened on Wednesday, April 21st, which is one day after the Derek Chauvin guilty charge. And don't forget George Floyd, George Perry Floyd, his full name's got the 201 connection, a million 201s with the George Floyd story. Ma'Khia Bryant 201, the police video of the police officer driving up before killing her the day of the Derek Chauvin guilty charge. You can see on his computer it's clearly marked 201. You know, just the same numbers. But Isaiah Brown's got the 56, just like Black Lives Matter's got the 56. And you can see George Floyd in the most pure cipher. It's not 56, it's 65. The reflection reminds that they painted Black Lives Matter in the streets of Washington, D.C. on June 5th, 2020, a date that can be written 6-5 or 5-6. Ronald Reagan's a 56. He died on that day in history. So is Washington, D.C., and all in the most pure cipher. Again, the big number with the Jesuits, the Society of Jesus. So again, Andrew Brown, Isaiah Brown, both stories at the top of headlines right now. Police killings of black men, and both on the same day, too. They were both Wednesday, April 21st. But again, you just got to say, what are the odds? You know, the name, the number. By the way, let me just type in Michael Brown real quick in case you forgot. He was also a 201. Michael Brown's got the 201. Got some other numbers there that matter as well. But remember, right after the killing of George Floyd, you got the story of Lamar Ferguson, who was beat by the same officer who was standing in front of the camera. And that supposedly happened in 2014, the year of Michael Brown. Lamar Ferguson's also 201. Like, again, George Perry Floyd's full name's 201. Let me see if I got the spelling of Ma'Khia Bryant down right. I think this is it. Yeah, Ma'Khia Bryant. Again, 201, the police officer responding. You see his computer the whole time he's driving up, and it's 201 right on the screen. Again, 201's the number of the Jesuits. 56 is the number of the Society of Jesus, which is another name for the Jesuits. And again, the Jesuits, one of their mottos is divide and conquer. And all of these stories are so divisive. So, let me see. There are some other things that we could say about this. But the most important thing to understand is, again, it was in Elizabeth City on April 21st on Queen Elizabeth's birthday. And the gematria, the same as royal family. The town it happened in, Pasquatonic, has the gematria 54, like Jesuit order as well. And, yeah, Elizabeth City, North Carolina, 293, the 62nd prime. To go back and look at the history of the naming of Charlotte, I'm pretty sure it has something to do with the royal family. And again, Charlotte, North Carolina, Elizabeth City, North Carolina on the Queen's birthday. All this stuff is ritual. And don't forget it was on her 95th birthday, too. The Jesuits created to counter the 95 Theses. Reminds of Martin Luther King Jr., assassinated on the 95th day of 1968. Again, the Jesuits recognized by Rome on September 27th, the day leaving 95 days left in the year. All right, as for the other story that's getting a lot of attention today, Isaiah Brown. They're saying that the officer drove him home, and then the officer was leaving, and Isaiah Brown called the police for more help, and the police officer responded, and when he responded, Isaiah Brown was standing in the middle of the street holding a phone, a cordless phone for his house that he called the police on, but the cop thought it was a weapon because it was dark, and he began shooting and killed the same man who he just driven home and dropped off. So I mean, really bizarre story, right? So you have the bizarre coincidence of Elizabeth City on Queen Elizabeth's birthday, and then, well, this news, I see that this news was first reported in local outlets around the time of, but today it's CNN's front page story on this Sunday. And again, just right after the George Floyd thing, it's obvious that it's all just contrived to just keep people in this emotional response, this same state, triggered with the same thoughts. It's what the news media does. Programs people, keeps feeding them the same storylines. I mean, when they want to achieve something, they give you a lot of that storyline. Joe Biden says at the beginning of the year there's going to be gun control. Next thing you know, there's a shooting reported every day in the national news, some days more than one a day. And as for CNN really pushing this story on the 115th day of the year, notice Isaiah does have that gematria of 115. This reportedly happened Wednesday, The first news story written about it was April 22nd from my research. Can't see that it was posted anywhere besides April 22nd. And then a lot of people bring it up today, including CNN, which made it the top story. So today's the 115th day of the year. Again, with the 4 base ciphers, Isaiah is also 29 like Black. Isaiah is also 43 like George Floyd like Policeman, like how they added 43 seconds to the video. And Isaiah is also 47, and the first story ever written about this was on a date with 47 numerology. It also happened in Spotsylvania in Virginia, which is about an hour from the nation's capital. Spotsylvania's got the 47, like policeman, like cop, like government, like authority, like news. And again, Derek Chauvin, guilty, 47 weeks on the nose after the video came out. You know, Obey 47, Judge 47, Gavel 47, Big Boss number 47, number of authority. The date the first story was broken was also a date with 67 numerology. Police officer 67. We were just talking about the Kim Potter killing, and they had the picture of her in front of Police Cruiser 331, which is the 67th prime. And Spotsylvania also has the gematria 47. 47, like Isaiah, like the date the news broke. It's got the 173 as well. We talked about 173 a few times last year with George Floyd rituals. It's a Black Lives Matter number. And also, today, this story becoming the top story today for CNN, Spotsylvania is 70. Today's date numerology, the day they're really pushing this story, is a date with 70 numerology. And notice Isaiah Brown's also got the 70. So, by the numbers, it becomes the top story. By the numbers, it breaks. And they say he was 32 years old. Remember, special number 32 rays on the Jesuit logo, the 32 sun rays. The 32nd degree of the Scottish Rite shares the motto with the Jesuits ad Marum Dei Gloriam, which does have gematria of 115 now that I think about it. France has gematria of 115, so does Masonic. And but Scottish is 32, so is America. 7/4/1776, date with 32 numerology. Again, they said he was 32 years old. And I noticed the first story broken about it. The first news source to report, NBC4 Washington. This is the oldest story I can find on this. They last updated their story, and you can see it right there. Here, I'll zoom it in. They last updated the story at 2:01 p.m., right? Broke April 22nd, updated at 2:01 p.m. April 23rd. Hasn't been updated since. I just took that screenshot today. But I said, figures. They do it all the time with the timestamps. And again, this is a big federal agenda, what they're doing, the division. And it's right down I-95 too, isn't it? Speaking of the Jesuits in 95. Runs right through their city, D.C. Looks like there's some traffic on the route today, but 65 miles away from the federal headquarters for the ongoing federal agendas. And then, just again, I mean, the McDonald's shooting. I'm talking about the McDonald's shooting before these details are even out, and I just keep bringing up how McDonald's is flying their flags at half-staff for all the shootings and whatnot, and McDonald's participated in the big mass shooting of July 18th, clearly synced with the death of Ray Kroc 187 days earlier. And again, 187 is associated with homicide. It's a big number with the Scottish Rite. It's a big number with the Jesuits. It's a big number with D.C., the federal headquarters. It's a big number with the Bible. Remember, the word Abrahamic equals 187 when you run the alphabetic order in reverse, and there's 187 chapters in the Torah, which is what the Abrahamic religions are based in. But also the date that they put out this 18-year-old, April 24, 2021, Marion Lewis as the suspect. Date was 69 numerology. And again, just an 18-year-old kills a 7-year-old. It's like, okay. Is this some young troubled teenager that already has a rap sheet that's easy to pin it on? Because if you read the story, it doesn't sound like there's a lot of weight to the national headline of accusing him for it. They said he's part of a carjacking. But the numbers, man. 187. If you didn't see DMX's memorial yesterday, probably the highlight of it was his daughter. His daughter did a rap to remember her dad, and she was definitely very good at what she did. And yeah, I don't want to say too much about this memorial. It's just like you got Kanye's, Sunday choir singing about Jesus, but I mean, what's going on in front of your eyes? It's like in darkness, in cloaks, red and black color tint. It's just like, okay, the visuals are not going with the words. And again, DMX, I mean, troubled individual, self-admittedly. He went from selling his soul to the devil, trying to go back to God, ends up back in the rap industry near the end of his life, rapping with Rick Ross about skull and bones and these secret satanic societies. I mean, but anyway, what I did notice is Nas was the first guest speaker, and he went even before the Rough Riders, which DMX is a member of, and again, talked about Theodore Roosevelt, the original Rough Rider, dying 102 years before DMX. We also talked about Malcolm X dying in 65, 56 years before DMX. But I noticed that from Nas's birthday to the day of the overdose was his 201st day of his age, and then April 3rd, the day of the news of DMX, was 201 days after Nas's birthday. And again, numbers that we just talk about all the time. And we've been talking about the Jesuit connection with, so many rappers, and the Belly movie with Nas and DMX. And I noticed the other thing is they showed this at the beginning of the memorial and the end. My eyes didn't catch everything that happened in the memorial because I'd turn it on and look at what they were doing, and then I'd put it in the background and listen, and flipping back and forth as I was doing my work. But I noticed at the beginning and the end they showed DMX on his with his daughter at like a fair ride, one that kind of like not a roller coaster, but one that shoots you up and you come back down, slingshot. You can tell his daughter's just terrified. He's probably teaching his daughter to be tough. I still don't really like rides like this, so it's just like, what is the point of this ride, man? Chance it falls apart and to make my stomach sick. But anyway, I just noticed Slingshot's got the Gematria 42 like Simmons. I was like, man, they showed that at the beginning and the end. I mean, they didn't show a lot of highlights of him with his children. In fact, I don't think they showed any others. I think they just showed this one at the beginning and end. He's got to have other ones. So I was like, well, what is the reason what are they trying to show with this? Like, is that kind of like, is it like a metaphor for what it's like to be a celebrity? Like you pull the slingshot back and real fast it shoots, and that's kind of like how these celebrities' lives are. Things happen real fast. They don't live much longer. They get big fame. It happens real quick. It's like, I don't know, man. To show that at the beginning and the end. And some people are probably watching and thinking, like, what is he? What a cruel dad. He's got a little daughter on there terrified of the ride. But, yeah, all this stuff, man. It's just, it's so evil, and you got Swizz Beatz at the end of the memorial lecturing everybody about not being there for him while he was alive. And that's when he actually needed people to be there for him. And if you missed the work we did on Swizz Beatz, I guess I'll just pull it back up again. But at the end of it, he was, I think this is where it's at. Let me see. Okay. Yeah, so again, DMX died April 9th, 49. Darkman X, what his name stands for, is 49. Swizz Beatz is 49. Snoop Dogg's 49. Snoop Dogg and DMX did a battle on Swizz Beatz Versus on 22/7, July 22nd, like 227, the 49th prime. So on Swizz Beatz show, Snoop Dogg's 49 years old right now. They did it on a date with 49 numerology. The overdose was on Good Friday, which is 49. But then there was more to it than that. There's a lot to it, but hold on. Okay, Swizz Beatz. From the death to his birthday is 157 days. Swizz Beatz is 157, also 49. Also 113 and 50. Like how Overdose is 113 and DMX died at 50. And DMX died on his 113th day of his age. It's like, okay, that is just... so anyway, it's like, is this... His lecture at the end, it just seemed totally off. It was like, wait a minute, were you there for him? Who are you lecturing? Were you there for him? Maybe you were there for him. Maybe you were the one who gave him the hot dose so that you can live on and at least make it another 7 years to age 49. So, but yeah, this world of celebrity, man, it's so messed up, and these people have done dishonest things, so I guess you can't expect them to talk about things honestly. But, It sure is sick. And then again, just for them to be reporting everywhere that DMX sold 74 million records in his lifetime, it's like, is that a real stat? Is that a real stat? Because again, just in case somehow you're new here, DMX, the news of him being a vegetable essentially was April 3rd, the day that science recently said was the day Jesus was crucified, and the 93rd day of the year. Again, don't forget crucifix in the most simple ciphers 93, like God's Son's 93, like Nazareth's 93. And now that I think about that with Nas, what's tattooed on his stomach? It just came to my mind. God's Son is tattooed on his stomach. So on the 93rd day of the year was 201 days after Nas's birthday. Remember, the Jesuit order is 201, the Holy Bible's 201, knowing good and evil's 201. It's a biblical number. That's why the Jesuits have it, and this whole thing's a biblical ritual. But on the 93rd day of the year, you hear about DMX, and again, that was 201 days after Nas's birthday. But with regards to the whole 74 thing, Jesus is 74, Cross is 74, Messiah is 74, Gospel 74, Parable 74. Think about Machiavelli, Tupac's alias, Machiavelli 74. On the cross again, 74, like Jesus 74. And then where rapper fits in is the word rapper. Rapper is 74. Always talking about these rapper rituals in 74. Notorious B.I.G. died a span of 74 days from his birthday, March 9th, 97. DMX came out later that year. He gets remembered in the Barclays Center, where they remembered Notorious B.I.G., while Jay-Z and Puff Daddy were 47. The reflection is 74. New Jersey's got the 47 connection as well. I guess the Barclays Center, technically it's not New Jersey, but I just think of the Nets who came over from New Jersey to there recently. But 47's that time number, and Christian's 47 as well. But yeah, they gotta do the same stuff over and over. Easter Sunday, 74, the number associated with Jesus, but also the killing of so many rappers. And don't forget, when you run the alphabetic order in reverse, Tupac is 74. You know, when you write out Jesus Christ and you run the alphabetic order in reverse with numerology, it's 74. And April 3rd, 4-3 can be written 43 like Jesus Christ, which is the 93rd day of the year. And again, the Christian section of the Bible begins with the 930th chapter in Protestant versions. The last chapter of the Old Testament is 929. First chapter of New Testament's 930, just like Adam lives to be 930. And don't forget the Roman word for crucifixion is triclavianism, which also has that 93. It's also got the 201. Man, there it is with the Nas thing. And Nas has carried around the crucifix in his video. That's it right there. 201 days after Nas's birthday, DMX reported in a vegetable state on the 93rd day of the year. That's it. And the whole belly and the church connection and the number patterns. Yeah, I forgot. It just came to my mind that Nas has God's Son tattooed on his stomach. That's exactly what's on his stomach. God's Son 93. Again, Crucifix 93. Nazareth 93. Big number in Black history. Martin Luther King Jr. in the most pure ciphers 93. Malcolm X is 93. The list goes on. I forget. Is Huxtable 93? Huxtable might even be 93. Yeah, it is. Cosby Show. Don't forget Black History Month. Got the 93 encoded. There's a lot more to that list. Covered several in my first book. Covered many more since. Okay, so where were we? We're talking about DMX. Again, you got this entertainer dead from COVID-19. He reportedly died yesterday, unexpectedly from COVID, the day before the Academies, when he makes the dresses that the actresses wear at the Academies. And they'll probably mention his name today at the Academy Awards. You know, there'll probably be a woman up there winning, wearing his dress, thanking him, remembering why we need to take COVID seriously, why we should go out and get the vaccine. You know, if the celebrity tells us to go out and do this, you know, that's medical truth per YouTube. If a celebrity goes out and tells you to do something, medical truth at this day and age. God forbid you question anything. But this happened in Paris, France, the original home of the Jesuits. Remember, in the most pure cipher, you know, just not to get away from our 56s. Paris, France, 56. Society of Jesus, 56. Coronavirus, 56. Remember, you had the fashion show with COVID Kapoor. That was his name. COVID Kapoor, spelled with a K, who was designing the outfits with the masks a year before COVID, and they say that's just a big coincidence. And his real name was Kevin Kapoor, which is also another 56. And you got the expensive beverage to get better from COVID, Regeneron, that Donald Trump took in 2020, 56 years after his Jesuit education began at Fordham in 64. And you got Anthony Fauci, the Jesuit, telling you what to do, 56. In Washington, D.C., 56. And you got the 56th governor of New York, who went to Fordham, Andrew Cuomo, telling you what to do. And then on CNN, you got his brother telling you what to do, Chris Cuomo, another 56. Gavin Newsom, the Jesuit, 56, said 56% of California would get coronavirus in 8 weeks, which is 56 days. So, again, it's been nothing but 56. And by the way, this guy's fashion line, Lanvin, has the same gematria as Paris, 27, 36, 72. Jesuit orders also got that 72. Their acronym IHS 36. Again, the Jesuits control everything from Hollywood to your sports leagues to your government to your news. They put their stamp on all of it. And him dying at 59, if you say, where's that fit in? Remember, here's where it fits in. Pope Francis is the first Jesuit Pope, 59. That's why we told you Biden would win, because he became the 46th president in the 59th election, exactly 46 weeks after Pope Francis' birthday. And JFK is another 56 connection. Most people wrote his name, John F. Kennedy, 59, killed at age 46. Remember, he was the 35th president, the first Catholic, 35, killed at age 46. Biden's the second Catholic president, number 46. Okay, so what else is going on? Fernando Tatis, on the 22-year anniversary of his father having 2 Grand Slams. If you don't know baseball, a Grand Slam's where, if you don't know baseball, you might not understand anyway, but baseball, there's home plate, first base, second base, third base. The point is to run from home plate to first, to second, to third, back to home to score a run, and whoever has the most runs at the end of the game wins. Well, if you hit the ball over the fence while there's a runner on first, second, and third base, you score 4 points, because all 3 runners score plus you who hit the ball over the fence. That's called a grand slam. It's very rare. They don't happen a lot in baseball. There was a recent record in baseball history, though. A few years back, there was a record amount of grand slams on a single day in the MLB. There happened to be 7 in one day, which is pretty much unheard of. I mean, in an average day of MLB action, there might be 1 grand slam. There's not even 1 grand slam a day. They're just not that common. But there was 7 in one day on the 154th day of the year. I think it was June 3rd, 2017, if I remember correctly. And you had the first no-hitter of that day. But you see how Grand Slam's 154? The old baseball schedule used to be 154 games. And American baseball is credited to Abner Doubleday, 154. But notice baseball. 54, like 54 outs in a game, 18, like 18 half innings, 162 games, like how many games in a season, and again, 54 again. You type out Major League Baseball, it's also 162 like the games in a season. It's 63 like June 3rd, the 154th day of the year. It's 351, the 26th triangular number like game, like ball game. It's 117 like the day Roy Halladay died, November 7th, the day leaving 54 days left in the year. 2-time Cy Young winner. But anyway, baseball by the numbers. We've been exposing it for how many years? How many more World Series do we need to call before the season begins? Anyway, Fernando Tatis hits 2 home runs against the Dodgers on the 22-year anniversary of his father hitting 2 grand slams at the same stadium against the same team. And 22 is an interesting number because it's the master builder number, and when you write out master builder, it's got the gematria of 147 and 57, just like World Series. So the 22-year anniversary, 2 grand slams, 2 home runs. So what his son did, not quite as impressive, but still impressive. 2 home runs in the game on the 22-year anniversary of your father doing it at that stadium. But then the next day he made big headlines because he did the all-seeing eye after he hit a home run off the pitcher. He covered up one eye. And here's what I noticed about him. His name, Fernando Tatis, 56, like Society of Jesus, like all-seeing eye. And remind me, last year in the World Series, who got the most attention as a player? Wasn't it number 56 for the Rays? Breakout player, exciting player, so fun to watch. 56. stealing the show, capturing the mind's eye of the masses, the all-seeing eye. Notice forwards and backwards, his name's just like Society of Jesus. And again, they're the ones that are controlling the world of sports, raising athletes to fulfill their place in the world, you know. So, but yeah, this put them up 2-0 early, but the Dodgers sure enough came back and won and dropped the Padres to 7-3 away, because I'm always teaching you guys about the Dodgers and 73 rituals with their team. They don't miss often. That's the biggest number with the Dodgers. That's why the whole thing was 73, 73, 73. Like every ritual with the World Series last year was 73. Mookie Betts' big hit. Kershaw's strikeout record, 73rd pitch. Mookie Betts hit up the middle on the 73rd pitch of the game for the other team that made the score 5-0 with his number 50 jersey as the Dodgers were on their way to winning the 50th World Series for the National League. And also who was the pitcher that got pulled on his 73rd pitch against the Dodgers, and then the Dodgers came back and won, and they're like, why did he pull him on the 73rd pitch? Again, when you know Gematria, it's laughable. We've been teaching about the Dodgers in 73 for how many years before any of this happened? You know, Dodgers were an easy call to win the World Series last year before the season began. It was all synced up with Mookie Betts coming over right after Kobe's death. Okay. So, somebody asked me to go back and look at the death of Bobby Phills racing with David Wesley back in 2000. And this took me back because I remember when this happened. I mean, that was a big story at the time. NBA player dead in a car crash. Back then, I definitely didn't know Gematria. But Charlotte Hornets are the team in the NBA that has the 201 connection that, of course, Jordan's now tied to. And what I did notice is when you read the story, they mentioned for both of them their tickets for violating speed limits, driving 60 miles per hour. I was like, in the story they mentioned how both of them got recent tickets driving 60 and 35 mile per hour zones. But David Wesley, who survived, this happened on his 60th day of his age, and David Wesley's 60, so was the word order. And again, sometimes it kind of seems like that's what this is. This is the order. This is how the Jesuits operate. Ritual sacrifice, doing things by the code, your number's up. We know 60 also connects to words like police and the N-word, and it gets used that way too. And again, that goes in with the whole order thing. Their order is definitely based on division and racism and systemic racism and truly systemic division in a bunch of different ways. But this happened on David Wesley's 60th day of his age. And again, we were just talking about this with the death of Terrence Clark racing Brandon Boston Jr. And Brandon Boston Jr. is 224, and it happened on 22/4. And car crash is 145, and it happened 145 days after Brandon Boston Jr.'s birthday. So again, it's two basketball players racing. One survives, and in both cases, the survivor is the one that had more of the numbers for the ritual, which is interesting. And you could also say it happened 59 days after his birthday. We know what 59 means in terms of black history. The word accident also has that 59. And you know what? When did Michael Jordan get with... I have to go back and see when Jordan started with Charlotte. I'm not sure exactly what year that happened in, but Michael Jordan does equal 59, like accident. And this also did happen 59 days after David Wesley's birthday. I'm not sure what year Jordan and the Hornets was. 2009, so definitely later in history. Doesn't mean it wasn't all part of the script, though, because this stuff is all planned out. I'm going to have to go back and look at when Jordan got the... I've never researched this. I got to go back and look when Jordan took over the Hornets. I bet there's a lot there with that. So, and I'm sure if I go back and look at this more, like how it lined up with the finals that year and, you know, some other things that might have happened in the league, some other accomplishments, there's probably a lot more to this. But I had forgotten about this until somebody left the comments. So that's a start. And I just got to make another point. You see how he died at 30? Again, you guys, not a not nice word here. The N-word has the 60 and the 30 encoded in it. And it seems like a lot of times when they do what they do, you know, they're putting this stamp on it. DMX died 102 years after Teddy Roosevelt, the original Rough Rider. You see how that's also there with the N-word? And DMX overdosed on April 2nd, 4/2. You know what I mean? So, okay, just a reminder about Trump. Trump pretty much said on April 20th, the 110th day of the year, Adolf Hitler's birthday. Remember, President's 110, Adolf Hitler's 110. At the beginning of Trump's presidency, a lot of articles were written and rumors that he was carrying around Mein Kampf, Hitler's book. But Adolf Hitler 110, that's his birthday, April 20th. And again, it's 110, just like president. And you see how Adolf Hitler's also 56? What age did Adolf Hitler supposedly die at? 56. He committed suicide, but nobody ever found his body. Another complete bullshit story that you're supposed to swallow from your history books. But the one thing that is interesting about Trump, he pretty much said he'll run in the next election, which will be the 60th presidential election. Let's say that Biden kicks the bucket in office, which I'm expecting him to do. I've been saying that for a long time, and Kamala becomes number 47. If Trump did win against Kamala, if this was the narrative, he would become number 48 in the 60th election. So that is definitely something we're going to have to consider. And again, they really want to work us up and divide us, and Trump is so polarizing and divisive. People either love him or hate him. I mean, if 2024 things are ready to explode more than they are now, and they very well should be the rate they're taking us with the nonstop divisiveness and, the stress and anxiety that are feeding everybody with everything from the pandemic to all the stories. Trump, he could be, at that point, he really could ignite the stick of dynamite. So I'll remind you guys, 2024 is a year that I'm a little bit worried about, because it's 44 years after the Georgia Guidestones were put there. And remember, Georgia's 44, and genocide's 44, and military's 44, and kills 44. Again, if you don't know what the Georgia Guidestones are, they were put there March 22nd, 1980. They'll turn 44 years old March 22nd, 2024. The first rule on there is to reduce the Earth's population to a much smaller number than it is now. 1/14 of what it is. Actually, it's more like it's getting closer to 1/15 now. Because I think they say the Earth's population is close to 7.5 billion. It calls for a population of 500 million worldwide. So you'd have to get rid of 7 billion people, essentially. But, again, most people don't even realize those stone monuments are there. And just another story that reminds us of what a society of children we are. Got vaccinated, here's all the free stuff you can get. And then CNN lets you know that you can get free Budweiser if you send them proof of your vaccination. Junior's Cheesecake, you can get a free cheesecake if you show proof of your vaccination. Krispy Kreme donuts, you can get free donuts if you show proof of your vaccination. Nathan's Hot Dogs, you can get a free hot dog if you get your vaccination. I can just see the future where you can get your free hot dog after you get your anal swab to make sure that you don't have COVID before entering the building. Staples and Home and Office Depot are giving away free stuff. Free laminating services. You can get your papers laminated for free. Okay, that's the only one that might appeal to adults. But I mean, really? Free laminate? What's that? What's the going rate on laminate? It can't be that too hot. or a free hamburger from White Castle. Harold and Kumar. But yeah, this just shows you what a joke our society is. And again, I realized this a long time ago. It's like everybody's trapped in an infancy. They look at government like it's their mommy. They don't question mommy. Mommy's here to protect them. Mommy cares about them. Except for this mommy, she requires a lot of money. A lot of fees and taxes for her to be your mommy. Somehow people just look over that. Government's mommy, it cares about them. That's why it takes away their money and spends it on things that are good for them, like vaccines. Oh my God, man. And just all the other headlines there have been about the thought of paying people to get the vaccine. It's just like, okay. Shouldn't people want to go out and get the vaccine because there's a deadly pandemic that they're reporting about every day on TV? But what happens when you turn off the TV? Like, wait a minute. Okay, also in the news, Portland mayor announced that he's sick of Antifa. This was on the 113th day of the year, so I'm already all kinds of suspicious, but it's like, well, I'm just documenting this to see what happens from here. Antifa's been running Portland for over a year. So finally, took the Portland mayor. And how's he still the mayor? How does Portland still believe in a government in light of what they've witnessed? They've allowed a pack of angry, retarded teenagers that call themselves Antifa to take over their city and done nothing about it. Just shows you how weak people are. Won't stand up for nothing. It would take 20 decent people from Portland to stand up and get rid of Antifa in 5 minutes. Hasn't happened for over a year. And you know why? Because people know if they did that, they'd get in trouble from their government, which is supposed to protect them. People need to get rid of Antifa and their government. Neither are here to help them. And in fact, Antifa is the government. That's why it's been sanctioned the whole time. If you missed what I asked those officers in Seattle on March 13th, the one pretty much gave that away. Why they do nothing about Antifa. He said, talk to your city council. Okay, and also just another reminder, you guys, our money is clearly becoming less valuable by the day. It's funny how the media is writing about signs of inflation and this product could be up this much. It's like, man, I'm going into my grocery store right now. Avocados were selling for between $1 and $1.50 for the last year. They're at between $2.50 and $3 right now, so they've essentially doubled in price. And pasta, but before pasta was priced between like 79 cents and the nicer kinds could be as much as $3-4. Man, now it's like between the cheapest pasta is like $2 up to like $12. Like, okay, so pasta's gone up close to double in value. Actually, in fact, the cheapest before was 79 and now it's $1.99, so it's more than doubled the cheapest kind. And the same is true for all sorts of products throughout the store. All sorts of things, the prices are starting to go up. And again, it's not surprised with wheat things because they've told you that the wheat harvests are down, the climate change, the windstorms, that there's less quantity. But yeah, the media is kind of downplaying it right now while also giving the hints of what's going on with dollar valuation. But everyone who shops at the grocery store should see what I see right now. Like, okay, groceries are a lot more expensive. Yeah, I bought the same amount of groceries that I normally buy, and it's been climbing up. But yesterday, normally when I spend money at the grocery store, because I'll usually shop once a week and get our groceries for the week, the vegetables that we want to use up by the end of the week, the things we're going to eat with it, and normally our grocery bill for the week's right around $50. I try to shop smart. I try to buy the things that are on sale that I like. Okay, we'll eat that this week. That's on sale. We'll eat more of this that week. That's on sale. But it's always around 50. Yesterday when I did my shopping, the bill was $70-some. And I didn't really get anything different, but I noticed just everything costed more. I mean, it was hard to avoid it. So, yeah, and then they're saying here just how diapers, this news broke, this data about this news is from April 10th, 21, a date with 35 numerology, diapers 35, CNN, focusing on how much diapers are going up and how the cost is supposed to go up even more. The thing to think about with diapers, in terms of what people are also wearing over their face, but the other thing about diapers is our ancestors didn't use diapers. They weren't a part of the world. And you know what? We were better off for it. Diapers, I mean, think about it. Think about how much waste material there is. They're not even necessary. If you had a mom that could stay home with the baby, somebody will say, well, why not a dad? Okay, a dad. If you had one parent who could stay home with the baby, when the baby poops in its cloth diaper, pees in its cloth diaper, you're there right away to wash it, get it soaking, get on a new clean one. You're there to take care of what needs to be taken care of. And yeah, it's not as fun. It's a little bit more difficult. See, that's what we did. We gave up everything for easiness. Diaper's easy. You just attach it when the doo-doo's in there. You just throw the doo-doo diaper away. You don't have to wash it. You take the baby wipe with the chemicals on it, clean their little bottom. But are we really thinking about, what's in those chemical wipes? Are we shortening the baby's lifespan from the get for the cleaner? Back in the day, that chemical wipe didn't exist, made from big for-profit corporation. You had to put your baby down in the water, right? Pour some water over it. Some soap you probably made yourself. You knew right where the soap came from. You knew the water came from the well. You weren't counting on the government to put the right amount of chemicals and latest, aluminum company science into your water mixture with the fluoride and all that. You were living off your land. You were living off your water. You were growing your food. You weren't being My property taxes, case in point, my property taxes in 2018 at this house were just over 2,000. Now they're just dollars under 4,000. My property tax, I mean, just government, just constantly fees rising because of their policies. Why have our property taxes nearly doubled here? Because they decided to buy a bunch of, build new schools. And it's like, okay, do we need to spend this much money building new schools? Everybody has to spend this much money to build the school? Really? Do our children even need to be in these schools? Are these schools helping our children? Are they? Are American citizens critical thinkers? Are they good at math? Are they good at communicating? Are they good at reading, writing? Do they even read once they get out of school at all anymore, or do they just watch screens? Again, everybody knows the answers to these questions. The answers are no, 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 no. They suck at math. They suck at communication. They have no critical thinking. Why are we why are we making children go to school so much if this whole system doesn't work? Because it doesn't. Our ancestors had real skills because they didn't go sit in a classroom all day and learn out of a book from some incompetent adult who has no critical thinking skills themselves. Instead, they lived in the little village they lived in or with the tribe, and they learned from the people in the tribe how to do those skills, how to build, how to hunt, how to grow food, to know about the plants in the area, the natural plants that can be used for medicine, for food themselves. They knew about the world they lived in, how to do things in the world they live in. What do they know now? Now they know a bunch of book history that has no meaning to their lives, They went through 20 different math topics in their first 2 years of school and didn't master any and now aren't good at any. And then by the time they finish, they need to go work their slave jobs so that they can survive in the world. And then nobody has any time to stay home with the children that they have. They got to get raised in state school. If you're lucky, you have a grandparent around who's retired who can spend some time with them. But again, just all this stuff right here, this whole story is like a story that should never even have happened. Diapers should have never needed to exist. Government definitely doesn't need to exist. People don't need to be living in fear. I mean, out shopping in a store with their mask-covered face. And you can see there's toilet paper also in the front of the cart. And oh my God, it's just... And somebody might out there be like, you know what? Back in the day, you didn't even need toilet paper. I suppose our ancestors didn't have toilet paper either, but... Toilet paper, probably not quite as wasteful as diapers. And but yeah, I'm sure back in the day, man, just dig your hole, get your leaves, go clean up down at the stream. So anyway, all these stories, man. Oh, and shout out to Nathan Disambiguation144. He let me know that the technology behind this website, thispersondoesnotexist.com, again, there's a technology behind this, an AI type of software. But again, every time you refresh this page, you get a picture of a lifelike face that is not a real face. It's a computer-generated image. None of these people are real. They're all computer-generated images, every single one of them. And he says the name of this technology is Generative Adversarial Network. Is a class of machine learning frameworks designed by Ian Goodfellow and his colleagues in 2014. Two neural networks contest with each other in a game. And but again, it's just AI that's always learning and improving. Anyhow, the gematria of that is interesting. It's got that 322 in it. It's also got 133 like government. And it's funny that it was developed in 2014 because that's around the same time that they started to put out a lot of stories of all of a sudden just like a person, a suspect, a police officer with just like a gray background or a green background. I was commenting on this all the time back in 2014. I was like, it doesn't even seem like they're making an effort right now to show you that there's any pictures of these people from reality, just these faces in front of a green or gray background. Why do all these stories have the same number in it? I've been asking and proving the same points the whole time, but yeah. Anyway, I think that's all for now, Truth Seeker. Gotta eat some lunch over here, do some yard work, and then I will be on at 3 p.m. Pacific. That's about 3 hours from now, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 Eastern, on Patreon to talk about the Kentucky Derby, which is next weekend, Saturday, May 1st. And we'll do a few more conversations over the course of the week if you can't make today's, but that'll be on Patreon. And just want to lay out some things that really stand out to me about the big race next weekend. And yeah, if you want to join us, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 Eastern, we'll live stream then. You could watch it anytime after if you go to Patreon. But I mean, if you want to be part of the live stream and call in, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 Eastern today. Today is Sunday, April 25th. And then we'll do some more live streams about it over the course of the week because there's a lot to talk about. But our first discussion tonight. And because the YouTube keeps making it so that the links in my description don't work anymore, that's a YouTube form of censorship. The top pinned post, I'll link my Patreon page. And another easy way to get to my Patreon page is if you just go to my website, GematriaEffect.news. If you're on a computer, the top linked post to Patreon is right there in the right corner. And if you're on a cell phone, you just got to scroll down the page a little bit, and it's there as well. But it's patreon.com/Zachary K. Hubbard. Again, I'll pin it as the top pin post in case you want to join us this afternoon. All right, True Seeker. Till next time.